up ahead. Let's go check it out. I think we found our first tracks. Right. A popo? Huh?
Welcome to Iceborne, everyone. My name is Dak908, aka the Dig Dug himself, and today I'm going to try and teach you how to actually fight the Beotodus in a lovingly friendly manner, a way in which your friend would probably tell you to do so. I'm known as the average hunter, the everyday hunter. I come in and essentially try to mimic what any person who's just getting on for any monster for the first time would actually see and play as. So all these fights you're ever going to see me play as is my very first encounter with the monster. So I'm adapting to the monster on the fly, trying to figure out what he can and cannot do. And I'm going to teach you things thus far from what I've learned after fighting him quite a few times afterwards. However, the gameplay is to show you and showcase the fact that it is definitely possible to do it if you've never seen this monster before. However, I do have a bit of monster hunter experience, so adaptability is kind of my strong suit. Regardless, though, I want to say first and foremost that I am actually under the weather a little bit. So if I sound rather a little funky, I apologize for that. So with that being said, let's talk about the Beotodus. So once you actually go into the Iceborne and actually go through all the cutscenes and everything, go on your first expedition in the Hoarfrost Reach, you take a couple of steps and then you're met with the Beotodus. For those of you who've actually played the base game, or any game besides this one in general, it's another piscine wyvern that essentially took the place of the Zamtras because they didn't want to actually add the Zamtras because that's a whole nother skeleton. They didn't want to do all that. So it's like, yo, let's just go to the piscine wyvern skeleton we already have and just make a nice monster out of that. Now, for a lot of people, myself included, that was a bit of a annoyance, but nevertheless, Beotodus is actually a pretty cool monster. I actually like him quite a bit. So off the top, you can actually tell that he's an ice-based monster, and the way in which you should probably fight him is to come prepared. So when you do go into the expedition, go through the cutscene and everything, immediately you can leave the expedition and go back to wherever your main hub is, probably Asteria, and then go on the assigned quest to fight the Beotodus. If you do so, you get a couple of benefits. One, you can actually pop the flares, that way your friends and random people can come and help you. Two, the monster himself won't actually leave if you're unable to actually defeat him under, I think, 30 minutes. And did I say two? Well, three. Okay, the third point I want to make, I can't do math, it's a little early, but the third point I want to make is the fact that you get additional rewards in the box from actually killing the monster, wherein which if you fight him in the expedition, you don't necessarily get all the, you get some, but you don't get all, like for the breaks and all sorts of stuff, whatever, you don't get all the rewards. So that's one way people might want to go back and do it. Oh, actually a fourth, if you forgot to eat, because most people probably will. I just knew that this game would throw me in a situation where I would have to fight a monster and in the expedition, and we go from there. So I ate prematurely, and then went to go do it. So if you didn't eat and you want to actually get those health bonuses and everything, you can do that. So I would do that. I would go eat, I would come back, I would fight the monster, and then go from there. It's totally fine. Now, the Beotodus is actually a bit difficult. I would not lie to you. It's actually kind of difficult coming in off of the high rank armor and whatnot. I was in a relatively decent set, to say the least. It wasn't incredible. It was a arc-tempered Teostro set. Essentially, I just wanted crit and the master, I forget what it's called. I think whatever the gamma armor set is. Well, not just gamma, but the Teostro armor set is, like the set ability, where in which if you land critical hits, your weapon doesn't lose sharpness, because I knew sharpness was going to be a huge thing if I wanted to actually do the most damage to the monster and not have my sharpness go down super quickly by having that sharpness multiplier. Regardless though, Beotodus, pretty nifty monster, not too impulsive. There's a couple things you need to actually watch out for. So first, let's talk about what he's weak against. So he is weak against fire. This is no surprise to anyone. Most of these monsters actually in the Hoarfrost Reach will be weak to fire. So if you want to have a bit of foresight, go into the entire Iceborne quest with a really strong fire setup. So if you have strong fire weapons or a way in which you can actually increase your fire attack, go for that. Go for that, and it's actually very, very good. His weak spot, however, is actually on his feet. That's why you see 99.9% of the fight of him just being in the snow, because his weak spot is actually his feet. He don't want to stay. He does not want to stand up. If you force him up by knocking him over, things like that, attack the feet. Don't necessarily attack the head, unless you want hard horns. That horn, I might add, since you're probably rocking higher end gear, is pretty hard to break. It took me almost the entirety of not this fight but another fight to actually break that horn, because you kind of need some of his horns to make his armor. But we'll talk about the armor pretty soon. But nevertheless, he is a bit of a nuisance when it comes to the ice blight. So I know I'm asking for you guys to do a lot, but ice blight is a huge issue. So make sure you want to come into this quest with either an ice proof mantle or a set that has at least 15 points into ice resistance, so that way you're not afflicted by the ice blight. What ice blight does is anything that usually would cost stamina now costs even more stamina to do so. Well, not really, but your stamina will be depleted a lot quicker. So let's say you're a hammer user and you're charging your hammer, the speed in which your stamina will go down will be increased to where you don't really get to charge and pick your spots as often as you can, because your stamina is completely decimated very quickly. So let's say if you have 150 stamina, with Ice Blight you essentially have about 75 stamina. It's essentially cutting it in half, which is not a good thing. So you might want to get some null berries if you don't have either the ice proof mantle or a means to have 15 ice resistance. Eat those null berries. They're actually all over the place, so you can pick them up off the ground and you'll be in relatively good hands. Most of his attacks though, the only ones you really have to watch out for is when he goes under the, I was gonna say underground, but when he goes underneath the snow and you can't really see his body, he will shoot up and fly over you. It does a lot of damage. So whenever he just disappears, prepare yourself, okay? Either get ready to roll out the way, because he will actually go from one end of the map to the other. Well, not really the other one to the other, but he'll clear you, like right over your body, hitting you in the process or not. It doesn't really matter to him. It's very powerful. It's a great means for him to actually move around and change the situation if need be. Another one is when he slams his head into the ground. That's actually a pretty decent attack as well. Very good for catch people off guard with some ice blight, because it makes you think he's going to do one thing or something that's not going to be very lethal, but essentially he does smack you in the face and it kind of hurts a bit. But with some of his attacks out the way, he's nothing too crazy. If you have a shielded weapon, you'll be kind of okay. Once you get to fight him for about the first couple of minutes, you'll understand he doesn't have a whole plethora of attacks and then crazy amounts of combos. Even when he's in rage, it's not a really huge deal. So he's a great warm-up monster, no pun intended, when fighting in the ice, the Hoarfrost Reach in Iceborne. So I recommend you just go in here, stay calm, be very vigilant, play a slower game for a bit. It's gonna take a while. It might take about 20 minutes for you to kill a monster, but to help with your adaptability, let him kind of throw out a couple attacks, slowly work your way into there. Once you feel you have everything he's gonna do, then go in for the kill and really do the damage if need be. That's kind of what I did in this hunt right here. I played what I would normally do, and as I got more familiar with the monster and everything, I was like, okay, I think I know what he's gonna do. Let's go in. So I recommend you do that. It's a very useful tactic. It's a way in which you can actually adapt to a lot of monsters in the game. So with that being said, let's go look at the armor that the Beotodus himself actually gives, because in all honesty, it's actually pretty good. So the Beotodus armor is actually really good for a couple of reasons. His armor is actually very good in terms of the defense raw, meaning when you first make the armor set, you're going to get about 600 defense, just under, I believe. I think it's like 591, which is a very nice number, or 590, excuse me, it's on the screen obviously, but it's just around that number. Is actually very solid. Most armor sets from high rank, if you're like really pushing it, can get about to this number, maybe some to 600. I have a couple of sets that actually has about 614 defense, but this is easily the best out of that, because you don't have to have defense points, or you don't have to eat for anything. You just get it for free. So it's a really good way for you to actually have a high amount of defense and not really have to strain yourself to actually get it. On top of that, the skills in which this armor set actually has is actually really great. You have earplugs 5, which is essentially high grade earplugs, meaning no monster rush will affect you whatsoever. You have 5 points in the ice attack, which is, it's kind of okay. because right now you're not going to be using that at all, because all the monsters you're fighting have a higher resistance to ice, because you're in Iceborne, the Hoarfrost Reach. However, later on when you fight other monsters and the monsters are introduced, it might be viable. Next, we have health boost. 3 points in health boost, giving us the additional 50 points into your health. So essentially, if you have 3 points into health boost and you eat for a meal that gives you 50 health, you have 200 health, which is actually really, really great, especially early on when fighting monsters. That's actually probably pretty tough, wherein which defense is actually not the highest rated thing to have. It's actually more health. If you guys ever played Pokemon, imagine Chansey. Chansey has absolutely pitiful defensive stats, okay, but his health is incredibly high, and it's kind of like it evens out, really high HP versus low defense. Well, with low defense, you still can kind of take a lot of hits, because let's say if an attack does 200 damage and you have 400 HP, you're still alive, versus if you had low HP and kind of okay defense, you still might die in that one hit. Regardless, I don't know, whatever, I know what I'm getting at. Anyway, aquatic / polar mobility is what it sounds like. You have the increased ability to move better in the aquatic and snowy type areas, which is really useful because we're in Iceborne and there's ice all over the place, and it makes your mobility even lower. Last but not least, we have stamina surge, which actually refreshes your stamina rates a little bit quicker, and it's actually a really decent skill for those who like to use the lance and whatnot. The beta variant to this is actually essentially the same, although you lose a bit of points in the skills. What you gain is slots. In Iceborne, you get a new Fandangled level 4 slot, where in which you can put very, very good skills in there. If you talk to the smith, he actually gives you a free level 4 one, which is actually Expert plus 4. Essentially what it is 1 gem, 2 points in Expert. So the beta variant of the armors, I believe all essentially have at least 1 4 slots. Level 4 gem slots, so you can actually get really crazy with your set recommendations, or you can just mix and match and get whatever you want out of it. In my opinion, it's probably best to mix and match for the time being if you have a lot of really cool decorations, because some of the skills that you would lose aren't really all that great, and some you would gain by putting in more decorations is worthwhile. Now, lastly, I'd hate to say this, but I do not have any of his weapons right now. I'm still trying to get through the game. I'm barely getting through it right now. I'm very early. By looking at the equipment gear you just saw right there, the only monster that's actually new is the Beotodus, Banbaros, and the Urigan. The Urigan's not even new. It's just that when I learned that you can actually go and fight Urigan super early in the game, I went to go fight Urigan super early in the game, and I'm probably gonna go and make his armor eventually really soon. What I will say this is, in order to actually get his weapons, you have to first fight the Kuliyaku and in the master rank. And the cool thing about this game, though, I will admit, is you can probably go through the main story, or once you have Iceborne open to you and master rank available to you, you can go on expeditions. Okay, this is important. Go on expeditions and fight any monster you see. Master rank expeditions, fight any monster you see. It's gonna be tough because they're G rank, but that's how you actually can get access to higher end gear very early. Like, I'm trying to make Urigan gear and I'm barely even fighting Beotodus, So you need to actually increase your Kuliyaku weapon line tree to then access the Beotodus weapons. So I have yet to do that, but that's how you actually get his weapons. But that's everything I really have for you guys for the Beotodus. I know this video kind of like rambled on a little bit. It's a weird one. It was like my introduction to Iceborne. I wanted to get a lot of things out of the way, like a lot of the small nuance things that they actually changed with like the armors and like the monsters and things like that, like how you can just go and fight any monster at any given time or whatever. There's a lot of things I really want to explain in this video, but I promise you, for those who are used to my regular video format, the next one will be straight facts, straight to the point. It will be Banbaro, which I love when we refer to as Banbaros because it's like a Durambaros or whatever, and we'll get straight to the meat and potatoes. It'll be a lot shorter too, so for those who missed that format, we're going to go back to that. I just really wanted to get a lot of introductory things out of the way, so that way we can not use it in the next coming videos and just move on from there. But with that being said, it's been your boy Dak908, aka the Dig Dug himself. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you on the next video. I have more videos to make and more monsters to hunt myself, so expect about at least 2 videos a day. I know that's kind of slow, but hey, I got to play the game as well. But yeah, take care, guys. It's been your boy.